Let's take a little break from class guides to go over 6th job. I now have 6 characters at 6th job and wanted to do an in-between video. It kinda works out. 6th job just came out in GMS last year, and with it came a bunch of new upgrades for everyone that are fairly similar across the board, and now even some extra stats and skills to make both grinding and bossing easier. Now that it's been expanded upon from last year, I have a general idea of what the future holds for it, so I feel more confident going over it. Let's talk about it. First, let's start off with the 6th job advancement. It happens at level 260, and it's loaded with cutscenes, dialogue, and various pre-quests. You can sit through and read all of it if you so desired, or just put your interact/harvest key on Y and hold it down for however long that takes if you just wanted to get through it quickly. Once the starting dialogue and quests are over, you then have to fill up initially 3 various stones, 1 for each Maple World goddess, and then 6 more after that, 1 for each Arcane River main zone that gave you an arcane symbol. This part is the main chunk of the advancement, as it's very grindy and time consuming. It is getting alleviated in a few months, presumably, because KMS just recently reduced all the EXP required for each stone down by like 40 billion XP less each. Until then though, here's some tips to speed up the grinding process. First and foremost, grinding in Grandis onward, starting with Cernium, will require sacred symbols. If you don't have enough sacred power to hit the mobs comfortably yet, there's no shame in going back to Limina. Usually events toss out a ton of symbol selectors, including hyperburning, which gives you some right as you hit 260. You still have to do all the Cernium questline, or skip it if you already did it on another character, but check for those symbols first because you will be getting way more XP grinding in Cernium, if you can. Second, the only EXP sources that don't count towards the stones are things like quests, Monster Park, and Fritto portals. Any forms of grinding, plus Poyo and Especia portals, all count towards the stone EXP. Same with all XP modifiers like 2x and 3x coupons, bonus XP coupons, MVPs, runes, spirit pendants, all that fun stuff. Once you finish the initial 3 goddess stones one at a time, you get all the arcane river stones in one go, so you don't have to keep going back to the quest area every time you fill one. For the goddess ones you do though, sadly. Just remember to keep track of how much XP each stone is at, so you're not grinding without filling one. Then after that slow, grueling process, and some more cutscenes and dialogue, you've unlocked 6th job and unlocked a new origin skill alongside it. Now for HEXA skills, starting with that origin skill you just unlocked. They're more or less functionally the same for every single class, with each one acting at minimum as the following: an iframe, a big burst of damage, and a 10-second bind that doesn't share a cooldown with the global 10-second bind timer. Each one has different attacking functions and such, like Bishop's origin summoning attacking statues for a minute, or the fact you have to hold Ho-Young's origin down the entire length to get the full damage of it off properly, or you can just tap it if you wanted quick damage for some reason. Some also hang in the air when you use them, while some others make you fall right down to the ground. Ultimately, they're just a big burst skill you use to extend your burst rotation by an extra 10 seconds, with each origin skill having a cooldown of 6 minutes. If you're in a party, remember that origin skills are their own separate bind timer of 90 seconds, so you can't have people chain origin a boss for a super duper long bind. Just more damage or an iframe. Not every class gets amazing benefits from their origin skill, like I think it's weirdly enough not as useful for Night Lord, but that's still an extra bind and iframe, so it'll always have some kind of big use. Everybody at 6th job also gets this skill that's primarily only for grinding, called Soul Janus. It's expensive to unlock, currently requiring 125 fragments and 7 Soul Erda, and it explicitly states all forms of Soul Janus cannot be used on boss maps. Small little side note, this doesn't mean it can't be used on bosses. For example, if an elite boss spawns while grinding, or you're fighting Bigfoot in Monster Park Extreme, Soul Janus will damage them. But yeah, it doesn't work in boss maps like say Dark Knell or Lucid. Anyways, Soul Janus has 2 modes, Dawn and Dusk. Clicking the skill itself shows both to choose from, and you just click the direction of the one you want. Left for Dawn, right for Dusk. Dawn acts like Erda Fountain back in 5th job, just making a big orb, or ring, that stays in place and attacking in an area around it. The more you level up Soul Janus, specifically at levels 10 and 20, you get additional rings to place down, which means even classes that don't have too great of mobbing can still comfortably clear larger maps. Once you place down the first ring, the timer starts, so you have to place down your other rings within its time duration. 1 minute cooldown at all levels, but the rings go from a 1 minute duration at level 1 up to a 2 minute duration at max level. Dusk you don't use as an active, and instead it just passively attacks when you attack, with these things called primal crystals that rain down on a bunch of enemies. 3-second cooldown at all levels, and the crystals created goes from 9 at level 1 up to 11 at max level. Both also gain 30% normal enemy damage at max level. Lastly, a few of your main attacking skills get HEXA upgrades. Usually this comes in the form of higher damage, but some upgrade in different ways with new passives or functionality, like Hayato's Shinsoku. It goes from 1 use every 15 seconds to 3 uses, with 1 charging every 15 seconds, plus a ton of extra damage. Or Hoyoung getting a passive with a bunch of their main attacks, called Universal Harmony, that gives them a final damage buff occasionally under certain circumstances. It varies from class to class, and will most likely continue to do so with future updates. There's a slight catch to this though. You can't unlock these or use them in any capacity until you get said skills upgraded in your V-Matrix to at least a combined level of 40 in unenhanced V-Matrix slots. Also, if it falls below level 40, usually by unequipping those tri-nodes, they revert back to their unenhanced, non-Hexa versions. All your 5th job class skills get upgrades too, but as far as I know for all classes, that's just extra damage. None of them upgrade beyond that with passives and such. To upgrade these skills, you'll need these 2 items. This one is littered around Grandis training maps and occasionally through events or after fighting a boss that's a high enough level, and they're called Soul Erda. Currently you can only hold up to 20 full Soul Erdas at a time. That could probably change in the future. I don't know if it will, but I kinda hope it does. These swirly galaxy looking things are Soul Erda fragments, and thankfully there's no limit to how many you can hold. So far they only drop from the Erda's quest daily, dropping from Grandis monsters while grinding, completing High Mountain, which I'll talk about in a bit, or again sometimes from events. They're also used over on this tab to upgrade your HEXA stats. HEXA stats are simply just extra stats for your character. Pay the initial cost of 5 Soul Erda and 10 Soul Erda fragments to unlock it, choose whichever 3 stats you want to be upgraded, and then keep enhancing it with fragments up to level 20. The stat that upgrades per level is entirely random, but you can swap around which stat gets what, for a cost of 100 million mesos per swap. Currently only 1 slot is unlocked, but I believe we're getting the 2nd slot soon as of the time of this video releasing, like within a few months. The stats you want to upgrade vary per class, but in general I think it's best to go for main stat, attack, or magic attack if you're a mage class, and then either crit damage or boss damage. There's not even that many to choose from anyways, just these 6. That's it really. The fragment cost gets higher the further you upgrade the main stat, and the chance of the main stat leveling up goes down every time it does upgrade, from a 35% chance at level 0, costing 10 fragments per level, going down to a 5% chance at level 9, costing 50 fragments per level. Each stat can only go up to level 10, so it gets evenly spread across the 3 stats you choose, and then if you wanted, you can reorder which stats you want where after it's maxed out. You can also save the stats after it reaches level 20, and try rolling again for a more desired spread of the levels. And if you don't like the results, you can override it with the saved stats. Since fragments are pretty scarce and costly early into 6th job's life, I'd only do this if you have a ton of fragments, and or you have nothing better to spend them on. Your HEXA skills would be a much better investment early on in my opinion. More guaranteed damage over random chance, plus the damage you get from your skills per level is usually pretty large. With reaching level 260, you get a new daily to do, and with completing 6th job advancement and the Cernium questline, you also get a new weekly to do. Let's go over that weekly first. High Mountain is an epic dungeon you can do once a week per world, where you swap between yourself and Sun God Mitra to clear mobs and bosses for 10 stages. Every 3 stages there's a boss, with the exception of stage 9 and 10 both being back-to-back boss fights. You get 1 hour to clear each stage, and I highly recommend having enough sacred power to clear out the mobs, because otherwise this is going to take a very long time to complete. More so if you're weaker, because each stage the mobs get progressively more health, and it takes longer to fill up the meter. You only need a minimum of 30 sacred power for all 10 stages, but more would be better solely for comfort and clearing quicker. Thankfully you get a whole week to clear it, and you can abandon any stage at any time, and come right back to that very stage at any other point in the week to make more progress. It should not take you a whole week to clear though. Also, apparently you can't do it on more than 1 character a week, so if you enter briefly on 1 character, you're locked into doing it for that whole week on that character. It doesn't seem like there's any way to back out of it either. I actually didn't know that until making this video, so I guess my bishop just made progress towards her Soul Janus unlock. Anyways, doing High Mountain on my freshly 260 high auto, it took me about 2 to 3 hours to fully clear it, and about 1 hour to realize my sacred power was pitifully low before I decided to pump it up and finish it off. On a character with enough sacred power, it takes about roughly an hour or so to complete. The stronger you get, the faster it goes too. I think my Ho-Young is able to clear it in like 20 minutes. Regardless of how strong you are, taking out the Tynus's kin that appear occasionally is still pretty hard. Swapping to Mitra helps a ton with clearing the normal maps, but especially the Tynus's kin, and you can swap to him at any time by pressing tab. Though you can't use his skills until you build up enough energy, which you get by fighting mobs. He one-shots everything in High Mountain except the bosses, and the egg that spawns in later stages that summons bees everywhere. I personally like letting the energy meter build up to max charge, popping Unleash Authority, and then zipping around the map with Sun Surge and Solar Flare. Optimally, you'd want to save Mitra for whenever Tynus's kin appear, swap to him, one-shot them, then swap off and keep attacking normally until the next wave. Speaking of boss stages, all you have to do during them is avoid their attacks and keep hitting them, like every other boss in the game. No real gimmicks to them, beyond them sometimes splitting up into a bunch of tiny mobs every so often, and if you needed to heal, the only way you can is by spamming your interact key on these golden portals. It took me a month or two to figure that one out. The prequests to initially unlock High Mountain are kinda longish, but thankfully after you do them once, you can just skip them on every other character after that. More epic dungeons seem to be coming out as time goes on too, as Korea just recently got one for Odium. So I guess over time look forward to more XP and fragments per week probably. Now on to the new daily. Monster Park Extreme, also abbreviated as MPE, is a one-time per day per world daily you unlock right at 260. No prequests needed, just enter in a party with up to 4 people and go do it. The map is big, but you can view it as a 3x3 grid. Normal monsters spawn in every spot except the very middle where you enter from. 8 total types of monsters, and their location randomizes every time you enter. 2 different types of snakes, 2 saber-toothed tigers, 2 slimes, and 2 birds. Your objective is to split up with your party to find whichever 4 you need, displayed at the top of the screen, and just grind on them for a bit. 50 of each are required, and if you find this mob and defeat it, then every mob gets 15 kills added to their total, meaning less work for everyone. There's portals and springs scattered about the map to help reach all these areas quicker too. Once you got 50 of each mob, somebody goes to the middle of the map, holds the interact key on this altar, and then Bigfoot spawns, sometimes even in the middle of the map, unlike the other monsters. Find where Bigfoot spawned, and attack them to complete MPE. With a catch. When Bigfoot initially spawns, they only roam around the map for 30 seconds, and after that just leave, forcing you to kill 50 more of each randomly selected mob again. Early on, this sucks. Thankfully, all damage dealt by you and your party stays off Bigfoot's health bar. Also, every time Bigfoot respawns, the timer for them roaming around increases by 30 seconds, and on the 5th respawn, they just stay until your party completely defeats them. You can do this every day, and the XP giving at the very end scales with your level, all the way up to 300. You also get a Monster Park box every time you clear, though it doesn't count towards your Monster Park or medal progress. Again, having a party for MPE helps a lot, especially early on when you don't really have the damage to even take out the normal mobs quickly. I wish Nexon would scale the damage depending on level average, much like how they scale the XP reward at the very end. But hey, maybe in the future they will. Until then, just keep getting stronger and trying your best, or find a strong enough party to run with. I don't normally include 6th job in my videos for a few reasons. The main one being it's much harder to get every character to 260 before making a video on them, and I don't really want to do that for every class in the game. Secondly, they're all pretty similar across the board. Everyone gets an origin skill, some attack upgrades, HEXA Stats, and a crazy good grinding skill. Third and lastly, it's still pretty new and only going to keep unlocking and expanding as time goes on. It could change drastically a year from now. If it does, I'll make an updated version of this video. Also, thank you for watching this video. If you have ideas for other Maple related things you want me to explain or go over, give me some suggestions down in the comments. I usually do class guides, but I also like making general MapleStory guides too. If you just like me talking about various MapleStory things, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm on a combo class guide kick as of late, and people still want me to just cover all of them, and yeah, I will get around to all of them eventually. Though I think next, I want to tackle a class I featured in this video that I've been enjoying a ton as of late, especially after I got them to 6th job. That's all.